Hello everybody, my name's Tomato Anus, also known as I'm getting another haircut tomorrow, and also known as I forgot to do my hair recap at the start of the last one of these, I think. I don't think I'm going to keep going with that. That was a bad idea that was in the first couple of these. Anyways, today is July 10th, 2023. This is the July 2023 retrospective. If you are watching this in the year of 2024, on my Tomato Anus channel, you could have watched this a whole year earlier by heading on over to patreon.com/tomatoanus and signing up at one of the higher tiers. That's at least how it's set up now. $3, $6, $9 tier and $6 tier and up gets access to this. So if you want to watch, catch up on all the ones from the past year that you've missed, go do that. This is a series where I sit down, watch an old video of mine. I have my handy dandy notebook here to make notes on it with, talk about what the video, what I liked, didn't like, ways that it explains things well, etc. And just try and learn from this video to become a better video creator. So today, the run that I plan to go over is my Speedrun to have sex, my Fallout Anthology Sex percent. So Speedrun to have sex, whatever you want to call it. Going over this world record. I think it's still a world record. I don't think anyone's ran this other than me. Yes, I am the only one to have ran this category and submitted it to the leaderboard, so I am the world record holder. That's how that works. I'm still undecided as to what will be covered next time, whether we will jump straight to the glitchless speedrun of Fallout 4, which I'm really looking forward to reviewing. I think there will be a lot to take out of this video. Or if we will do the cringing through my first speedrun, revisiting my first world record, and how much time can we still save, because these are different types of content creation, different types of videos, and I think that reviewing those might be beneficial, especially with, not that I'm trying to necessarily branch out into other types of content creation, but I'm sure there's great lessons to be learned there about, I keep hitting my microphone arm. I'm sure there's great lessons to be learned there about my videos, making videos in general, maybe give me ideas for future videos, things to do. But alas, today is Speedrunning to have sex in the Fallout series, which was released on February 2nd, 2019. What I remember about this video and the context when it was made. Let me pull this back up so we can look at the videos that were released around it. So I had just started making more. I remember it was around this time that I started wanting to shift my content towards pretty much strictly videos I made rather than videos that are just stream highlights, because again, we're transitioning from the era of stream highlights to actual edited videos. This is when I was first starting video editing. I don't remember a whole lot about the grinding process for getting this speedrun. I don't remember the context on the streaming side of it too much. This wasn't my first Fallout Anthology Sex speedrun, though, because I actually had done one the previous... Whoa, is this the only... I had done ones prior. I thought that there would be a different one, an earlier one than that, though. Because... Let me look at the date on... I'll talk about why I had thought this would have been earlier in a moment. Yeah, so what's confusing me about this is that this was... I remember being at... Clearly, I must have been on spring break when I recorded this. But my only memories of doing this run originally... This is the first time that I was doing these runs. I remember releasing this while I was at college. I just remember I released it. the video like popped off. It got like 50,000 views in 24 hours, which I had never had before. But then it flatlined for views, so I had to re-upload it. As you can see, had to re-upload to a YouTube bug. I think it was just it got limited by its content, despite not being yellow monetization thing, despite not being kind of hidden from searches. It was still listed as full green and had no age restrictions or anything on it. But it was then the views stopped. YouTube does kind of like shadow stuff on videos like that. It's not the only time that's happened to me. This video here got hit really hard with this. It's at 928,000 views now, which actually it's getting a few more views again today. Not today, but like as of late. But when I uploaded this video, it got like it's 800. Almost all of these views are from the first 3-4 days it was released. It's like 850,000 views in the first couple days, and then it just stopped. So same type of thing where they're not limited for ads at all. This has like full green on ads, full monetization, but it just gets hit with a hammer on YouTube. He's like, go to horny jail. This is not a video that should be recommended freely or whatever, because it is inappropriate. And then the views just stop. So I was pretty nervous going into this video. It's not that like I was relying on my videos for income like I am now, but I remember being nervous in terms of its performance, or I guess not nervous, because nervous would imply some sort of stakes to it. At this point, I was really just trying to grow my channel. I was working full time, and I was really just doing this for the fun of it. I was releasing this video because I had a blast making it. And I was like, it'd be hilarious to do a speedrun explained for this goofy of a run. And yeah, I just remember having a blast with that, and that being the main motivation. But I wasn't expecting it to do well, because I was expecting it to get hit with that hammer again and then kind of fizzle out. But I released it the day before the Super Bowl. I remember that. I remember I had just gotten merch made, which if you Google tomato anus, this is one of the first pictures that comes up. And if we look at the date on this, February 2nd, this is the day that this video released. I remember, and I think the pinned comment is me talking about it. Yeah. Because I made some cheap merch, which I think the prices have gone up because of manufacturing costs. But I like set it so it was like as low as I could set the prices. Anyways, yeah, this was the day before the Super Bowl. I remember my roommate at the time and I look so different. I look so different but so the same. We got Thai food for dinner from a Thai place right by our apartment. And I remember the name of the place. It was the only time we ever got it, and I enjoyed it. I like Thai food. And then, yeah, I released this video, and I just remember sitting on the couch with him, watching the Super Bowl, watching stuff the day of. Endgame was coming up, so it was like, oh, the Endgame trailer is going to be at the start of the thing. And just throughout the day, looking at the video's performance, and it was going insane. This video just did so well on release. I talked in the previous video about how good the Fallout New Vegas video did, and this video took off even more so than that. And this is like one of the most any of my videos has ever taken off. I know that the past couple videos I've had some stories along these lines, but it's because we're in the era of this is where the channel was taken off. So there's not too many other examples of where it's like where I'll be able to say like, yeah, this video just popped off. This one just blew up. It really did. It was unlike anything I had experienced or really have experienced since. And God, keep freaking hitting this mic arm. It was just, yeah, it's I wish I had more hits like this. That'd be very nice, but I don't, unfortunately. Who's to say the next one won't, though? You know, always hoping for the next one. Anyways, in terms of actual content for this video, clearly this was the headcam 8 days. I don't know if this is headcam green screen days. I'm guessing it is. We will see in a moment. I remember Jabo has a cameo in this because I was editing the video and I went to Jabo. Jabo is streaming, which Jabo's just had an absolute blow up on YouTube. So incredible. I keep telling him, like, I've told him for a long time he's going to pass me in YouTube subs eventually, and he finally started blowing up on YouTube. So cool. I'm sure if you're watching this on Tomato Anus, Jabo has more subs than me now. Congrats, Jabo, in advance. I've told him for years he'll hit 1 million subs someday. That dude is going places. But anyways, Jabo has a cameo in this between like Fallout either 2 and 3 or 3 in New Vegas, because I have that damn box bug that I talk about in my speedrun to adopt a baby video where it takes a while for things to launch. And I was editing and I just went into Jabo's chat and I was like, I'm procrastinating editing a video or something. And he gave a motivational speech. And then I went back and clipped it. And I was like, yo, you mind if I include this in the video for fun, give you a little shout out? And Jabo was like, yeah, for sure. So here's a shout out to Jabo, who now has, that's his Twitch. I'm going to guess on YouTube, Jabo now has like 250,000 subs. 329. Holy fuck. Yeah, no, he's going to pass me even sooner. I told you. I told him. Yeah, so this was a while ago. Anyways, I think without further ado, let's get into this and start talking about how would I always say?
Hey guys, my name's Tomato Anus, and this is a Fallout Anthology main series. Hey guys, my name's Tomato Anus, and this is a Fallout Anthology.
I was gonna say, did I accidentally? Oh, my notebook accidentally pressed 0 on my keyboard. I was gonna say, what was that editing mistake?
Hey guys, my name's Tomato Anus, and this is a Fallout Anthology main series sex % run. What this means is that I'm going to do a speedrun of Fallout 1, 2, 3, New Vegas, and 4.
Again, as I've said I'm also going to up the playback speed a little bit. We're going to do 1.5 playback speed. As I've said in my previous videos, this was before the era of me having intros to videos, and we jump straight into the run, which I really like. We'll see how I address the combat bug situation, since there is speed tech right at the start. I'm sure already I'm going to be saying, by the way, this is what I was doing in that cave with the rats, because that is just so this era of Tomato Anus. So
since this is what the speedrunning community has deemed to be the main series, we're going to complete a sex % run.
It's a bit fast. Let's do 1.25.
In each game, back to back to back to back to back. If you don't know what sex % is, it's the act of starting a new game and having sex as quickly as possible. We start the Fallout 1 run by loading a created character file with our certain special stats aligned, and then starting inside of the cave outside of Vault 113. This part is pretty straightforward. All we have to do is run past these rats and exit combat with them whenever we can, and then exit the cave.
Okay. Interesting. So I'm deliberately delaying talking about the combat glitch, apparently. Not a bad choice. I think that we'll see how I address it. Not a bad choice. I actually really like that intro. It was nice that I had the 5 seconds of resetting the run, 10 seconds of resetting the run as kind of a runway.
Immediately upon exiting the cave, we're going to run directly south to Junktown, because that's the quickest place that we can get to where we can have sex.
Oh, right. This is sex %. Duh. I was like, wow, that was really interesting that I chose to not talk about the combat glitch at the start of this any % run. We start heading down towards Junktown. Wow, that's a disco album. Start heading down towards Junktown. I'm like, why the fuck am I doing? Oh yeah, we're having sex. Duh. So we'll see if I even explain the combat glitch. We'll see.
Once we actually enter Junktown, we're just going to run north into the second area because that's where both a shopkeeper is so we can get some caps, and it's also where the hotel is, which is where we're going to have sex.
This is a very matter-of-fact video. This is very, we're doing this, we're doing this. Like, no, there's very few bells and whistles in the commentary here, and I think that works really well with the... Oh, speaking of Jabo, he just got on... He's just started streaming, I guess. Just popped up on Steam. It's very matter-of-fact and very curt. This video is very... These lines so far have been very... Like, I feel like I've said, like, 5 sentences and we're a minute and a half into the video, and that's pretty low for me. That's pretty low sentence per minute count. But I think it works really well with this type of run. I actually, now that I think about it, I feel like there won't be a whole lot of commentary in this because there's not a whole lot to explain outside of like Fallout 4. So we'll see. This is interesting. And again, I think that really works for how comedic this run is, which now I'm thinking it's like, I've had the idea in the past of having Speedrun Explained videos for crazy meme videos by other runners. Runs like, I don't know if there's like a sex percent equivalent in other games doing that, or like, I don't know. Fallout, it's tricky because it's like, Fallout is so, I don't know, maybe I'm just stuck in Fallout with the YouTube landscape, but Fallout is so trapped in... So, I don't know. Maybe I need to research what other games you can have sex in and start making those Speedrun Explained videos. We'll see.
Once we get to the shopkeeper, we're going to sell the buff out and mentats that our characters start off with for exactly 600 caps. This will be used to buy a hotel room and also bribe an assassin. When we finish shopping, a man is going to...
That's good. This will be used to buy a hotel room and bribe an assassin. That is so vague, but is so funny. With that's a really funny line. That is an incredible line. I just made a note for that. I love that. There's like, it's so out of context, and it has not even been established that there is an assassin, and it's just the last thing you're expecting to hear. You are not expecting to hear, yeah, we're gonna use it to buy a hotel room. Oh yeah, makes sense. Have sex and bribe an assassin. You're just like, wait, what? That's a really good line.
Enter the store who wants to kill the shopkeeper.
I don't know. Oh, I guess I cut off.
And also bribe an assassin. When we finish shopping, a man...
Oh no, there we go. I don't know if that was intentional to have that be... I don't know if I would have thought of that, to be honest. That might be unintentional how funny that is.
And is going to enter the store who wants to kill the shopkeeper. If he ends up reaching the shopkeeper, then a combat event starts and we enter combat, and it's a long drawn out ordeal. What we do then is we exit the area while the man is walking to the shopkeeper.
I should have given a photosensitivity warning there. I would, if I were making this video today, that's for sure a photosensitivity warning. And I apologize for not giving one now. I did not know that was coming.
And spam quick save and quick load. This interrupts the man's walking animation so he's not able to actually reach the shopkeeper and start fighting. By exiting and re-entering the area and then keeping a wide berth around the store, the combat event will not start. Once we make it to the hotel...
Fucking microphone arm. I think that that explanation is okay. It's just lagging by around 5 seconds or so. I think that a little more work could have been done to talk about what was going to happen before it did, because there was like some space to fill. So I think that's the big weakness so far, is the commentary not really syncing up too great so far, but pretty good so far otherwise. Those explanations are very succinct, easy to explain, easy to understand, rather. I think it's good so far.
We'll talk to the receptionist and get a room, and then sleep for the night. Once we wake up, there's more or less a hostage situation going on in the next room. A seemingly deranged man who I referred to earlier as the assassin is holding Cynthia hostage. We defuse the situation by talking with the man holding Cynthia hostage and give him some money, and he walks away. We then talk to Cynthia and give her $40 for her services, and that's the end of the Fallout 1 Sex % run.
I think that the wording on those sentences was a bit very, I don't know what the right word is, very proper. The man I referred to as the assassin earlier, it's very like pushes up glasses speak. And I think that doesn't really help the video. I think that could have, I don't know, maybe it sets up like a very formal tone, which helps with the comedy of what is being explained. But those sentences were really wordy and could have been cut down to be a bit more, again, succinct and just a bit punchier. I think those lines would be a bit better if they landed as, it's not like they're even punchlines that need to land with a certain timing, but I just think that it would land better with the run to have those be a bit earlier. So just a bit wordy. Those sentences definitely could be simplified. And I failed to mention that this as well is another one of those videos where I recorded, similar to the Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3 runs, I didn't record them all in one shot like I did with Fallout 4, the Fallout 4 any % run, but I did not script these videos. It was pretty much just doing line by line re-recording when needed. Like I would re-record, like record a line, see what happened next in the run, record and time out a line, everything like that, but I didn't write anything down. So like those are lines that could use a rewrite. Those are lines clearly first pass needs some simplifying.
You may notice that between games my timer pauses. This is called the load remover, and it's a built-in feature of live split, which is the timer speedrunners use to make sure everyone is competing on an even playing ground. The load remover not only pauses between games, but also pauses during load screens of Fallout 3, New Vegas, and 4.
Also, it looks like I don't have the green screen up yet. This must be pre-green screen days. If you're unaware, with this old setup I had, maybe I should do it again. It's so goofy. I have an old green screen, not even just the one that I use for my ad reads. I have a different older green screen, and I hung it up on the walls behind. I keep yawning. I hung it up on the walls behind my monitors, and when I speedran these games, I take my webcam, and I have a basketball headband that's in one of these drawers next to me, and I clip the webcam to the headband that I'm wearing, and the webcam is then on my forehead and on the top of my head. It was like, we called it the GoPro. It was just my webcam headbanded to my forehead. And I would do that whenever I did speedruns. So it was like a point of view type thing, like cheap eye tracker. I really like doing that. I thought that was a really fun thing, a really fun gimmick. Chad enjoyed it. And I used the green screen to chroma key out the background of my walls so that this was then kind of over the background and maybe over Twitch chat. I don't remember if you could see. I think you could see Twitch chat behind the monitors, but yeah, this was before those days. Unfortunately, I must have started doing that right after this because that I really thought that I would have the green screen here for that.
The reason for this is some people are able to afford better computers than others that have faster load screens. We want to make sure that our time reflects our actual skill in playing the game and not just how good of a computer that we could buy. Naturally, that means we don't want to include load screens in our time because some people have very short load screens. This extends to the setup time between each game because some people, myself included, have certain games that take forever to launch for them and it's completely out of our control. For example, my Fallout 3 in New Vegas will occasionally take up to 2 minutes to launch for no reason. So, if you ever see my timer pause...
I even talk about it back here. God, I freaking hate this thing. I've seriously struggled with this bug for so long. And for those of you, in case you're out of the loop, a couple months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, I released a video, Speedrun to Adopt a Baby in Fallout New Vegas. And in it, I talked about my loading. In it, I talked about how my Fallout 3 New Vegas take forever to launch sometimes. And I asked people to, if you know why, let me know. Like, maybe, please, just help me. I'm losing my mind. I think that's an exact quote from them. Like, oh, I'm losing my mind. And someone messaged me in Discord about it. And apparently it's something to do. They were like, do you by chance use a Corsair keyboard or mouse? And I was like, yeah, actually. And they were like, yeah, apparently there's some known issue with Corsair and Fallout 3 in New Vegas where the games have a hard time. It takes a while for the games to detect your Corsair devices as input devices. And that's what they said. And there were other people who approached me with other options. Like, we didn't for sure diagnose it as, it was the fact that it was Corsair. That I use a Corsair keyboard, which I love, and it's so worth the long loads despite it. But because, like, there were other people who approached with, hey, it could be this and this and this. And it could be any of them. It truly could. But because that Corsair one was so pointed, and I'm pretty sure I only started beginning to have this problem once I built my PC and started using a Corsair keyboard, I think that's the safest thing to assume it is. But anyways, clearly I was dealing with it then too. I did not make something up for that Adopt a Baby run.
It's because the game is either in a loading state or I just haven't started the next run yet. The Fallout 2 Sex percent run is very similar to the Fallout 1 Sex percent run where we start out in an area with a bunch of enemies. In Fallout 1 we had a short cave, but in Fallout 2 we have a longer temple that we need to get through. This segment just pretty much includes walking around and past these ants in a manner that tries to minimize the amount of time that I'm in combat, and also I have to complete the temple in the intended way with doing things like bombing the door.
That as well, I actually really like how I worded that. I didn't get too into the details of, I was really waiting. Right now, I was really waiting for me to go into the details of how I moved around the ants. I was really waiting for a thing where I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to run just behind the ants to exit combat because they have low perception. I'm talking out of my ass right now. It's something along these lines of why you can leave combat so close to them. Maybe not perception, though. Their whatever stat is so low that they don't detect us when we're right behind them and try and exit combat. I was waiting for something like that because that's how it works. But instead I said, move around the ants in a manner that tries to minimize the amount of time that I'm in combat. That's really good. I really like that. I really, really like that. I think that's something I struggle with right now. And I would love to have these things be explained kind of hand-wavy like that. And I think something my videos suffer from at the moment is sometimes I feel like it's too many details. You know, I feel like it's too many details sometimes. A lot of times. But it's tough because, like, it's a tightrope walk of, I want to have these videos be easily digestible, but I also want to do a service to the game and as a speed game, and to the runner and to the speedrunning community, and make sure the video is doing it justice. And I feel like oftentimes if I were to say, hey, the runner is, like, for example, Mario I almost said Oddity because that's what I've been saying. It's the only way I've been saying the name of that game, Mario Oddity. My Mario Odyssey video is coming out this Friday publicly. And for example, in that game, if I just said, yeah, he's gonna move in a way to minimize, I don't know, maybe it's that's apples and oranges because two different types of games. But say, all right, so next month I have a video slated to come out covering Alien Isolation, and that is a game where they skip to like the last chapter, one of the last chapters, really early on. They go straight to it. Maybe that's a bad example too. I guess I'm having a hard time coming up with an example off the top of my head of something this is greatly analogous towards. But just, I feel like in general, like, if I'm approaching someone to make a video explaining their speedrun, and if I were to just say something like, hey, imagine this is another runner. This is the best way to say it. Imagine this is another runner doing this run. And I say, yeah, he moves around the ants in a manner that tries to minimize the amount of time that he's in combat. I could see a runner. I can understand if someone might feel like that is downplaying strats that are used, downplaying and minimize strats and skills that they've honed, because like, yeah, no, there is tech going on here, but I don't know. I hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying. I think I've gotten my point across. Like, I have a hard time not going into the details because I want to make sure that I'm doing the run justice by the runner standards, and I don't want to be discounting any of the strats that they're doing. But I think that that's something that more people they likely understand and get, and I think I need to kind of go with my gut there more and be like, hey, like, how much can we hand wave this? How much can we have this be true, but like not necessarily going into the, like, I don't know. The details are great though. The details are great. It's hard. It really is. It's really hard for me because I get so bogged down in the details. It's hard for me to tell where the line is, where it's like, this is interesting to a casual viewer, and where on the other side of that line is, this is way too many details. No one gets what's going on. This is just ridiculous. So I don't know. If you're watching this and you have any sort of thoughts or inputs on, like, if you're ever watching one of my videos when something kind of crosses into the territory of this is getting a bit too detail oriented for me, feel free to let me know, because the detailed orientedness is something that I struggle with, because I am, as you can tell from my videos, I am more than the type of person to be willing to go into details as unnecessary as they might be. Like, I am totally good with leaving every stone turned over, you know? That's not at all the phrase, but you know what I'm saying. So let me know what you guys think. That's something that I think about a lot. God, I have been recording so long and we're only 4 minutes into this video. I've already been recording 42 minutes. We'll see how much comes out in the edit, but 42 minutes I've been sitting here recording for this.
And also I have to complete the temple in the intended way with doing things like bombing the door.
Yeah, I really like that. This guy's name is Cameron, I think. Interesting, I didn't mention. I guess I was like, in the intended way, like I exit in the intended way of doing things. I guess here I left a bit more. I think with that line, my audience was a lot more Fallout oriented at this point. So when I say with the intended way of doing things, I said that with a assumption that, yeah, people will know you go and talk to the dude to leave, which I think is okay. I think it's okay to let people assume they know the intended way of doing things. Probably not in this case, because Fallout 2 is a game that people really haven't played, compared to all the other games I cover. So I think it's okay to assume people have played the game a bit more than I do.
Out of the temple, we're just going to run as far south as we can to get to the world map, which is where we're going to run to Klamath.
Klamath, I haven't heard that word in forever.
Once we actually enter Klamath, we're going to exit again and then re-enter, which will bring up a local map where we can choose between a couple different areas to load into. When we do this in this run, there should have been 0 pauses. There should have been 0 pauses there. I said, we're going to run to Klamath, and then I run to Klamath, and then I exit, re-enter, use the local map to go to a different area. I should have been like, we're going to go to Klamath. There we are going to exit and re-enter, because then we can use the local map. I started explaining that way too late because I am well past that by now. Press 2 to go to the second area of Klamath, which has the character Slim Pickett. Slim has the Trapper Town key in his inventory, and he'll give it to us if we play as a female and we decide to sleep with him, which is what we do in this run. So far, this...
Again, just that needs to be... I think if I went into my editing software right now and took this video and just chopped the commentary and just shifted it over, that would be amazing.
Speedrun has been relatively devoid of glitches.
Not like that was riveting content right there, but that would have been great timing.
I should warn you now, though. Sex percent is typically seen in the same light as any percent speedruns where glitches are allowed. That means that throughout the rest of the run, because of how glitched the Fallout 3 New Vegas and 4 speedruns are, you'll be seeing lots of glitches occur. If these aren't your cup of tea, I apologize. I hope that instead of leaving a raging YouTube comment about glitches, that instead you can leave a comment showing that you don't appreciate these kinds of runs, but you appreciate the effort that went into it. The Fallout 3 speed...
I got a lot of comments saying that exact things. I think I said this at the start of a couple videos, actually. I think this was before I really provided glitchless alternative. The only time I could really do a glitchless alternative was like an any percent run. So with a lot of these, I think with a few of these videos coming up that were our runs without glitchless alternatives, I say that where I'm like, I hope you can appreciate the effort that went into them. I'm trying to find if there were any comments. Oh no, that's not the one. Anyways, yeah, there are a good amount of comments saying that exact thing on a handful of videos.
The run starts by loading an already...
Maybe that's a good way to farm engagement.
made character because there's a 2-minute unskippable cutscene at the beginning of this run that has little to no speed tech. The speedrunning community for Fallout 3 decided it would be most beneficial for us if we just loaded a character as soon as we gained control as a baby. This was decided a long time ago in the Fallout 3 speedrunning community and has been used ever since just as a way to make sure that the runners stay sane. Throughout this run, anytime you see my screen flash black, it's because I'm quick saving and quick loading in rapid succession. Using these relatively innocuous game mechanics to our advantage, we can skip a lot of dialogues and also clip through walls. You may have seen me just push Liam Neeson to a certain spot using a toy truck. That was just to get him to hit a dialogue trigger and skip a little bit more of his dialogue without having to wait for him to walk over to the Revelations 216 passage.
Again, I hate the me explaining things after the fact. I hate that. That's the thing you'll see me harp on most in most of these early videos, and I feel like these retrospectives are likely a bit repetitive at this moment due to that. But again, I'm getting deja vu because we covered Fallout 3 last month, just like a couple weeks ago for me, like 2 weeks ago, if even. And that video had the same exact problem and the same exact... Excuse me. That video had the same exact problem in the same exact spot. I was yawning. Where start the run and I spend the entire preamble of the run talking about how the game starts from a load and I only explain truck push after it's happened. Now, That being said, I think that this was a bit more bearable of an execution of that. I still don't like the fact that I did it, but I think that the way that it was done in this video was done a bit better than the Fallout 3 video, where I explained in the Fallout 3 video, I went straight into truck. From what I remember, in my memory, I talk briefly about quick save, quick loads, and then go into truck push and kind of focus on truck push. In this, I said, hey, quick save, quick loading is super broken. I'm going to use it for all sorts of things. While I'm doing truck push, I'm doing this. Like, hey, I'm going to quick save, quick load a ton. That's the flashing black you see. I'm going to use it for a lot of things, such as skipping dialogues and clipping through walls. What I just did with Liam Neeson was one of those. I think that that is very different than saying, hey, that thing I just did, by the way, well, that's a very specific glitch called truck push, where I push him over. Like, I guess I kind of did that here. The longer this sentence went on, the less I liked this sentence, is a good way to put it.
Run, anytime you see my screen flash black, it's because I'm quick saving and quick loading in rapid succession. Using these relatively innocuous game mechanics to our advantage, we can skip a lot of dialogues and also clip through walls.
So that right there is okay. Because, like, yeah, there's some question marks as to what happened with that truck. But that's the big umbrella has been laid out for quick save, quick load. I keep slouching. I need to sit up. The umbrella of quick save, quick loading has been set up.
You may have seen me just push Liam Neeson to a certain spot using a toy truck. That was just to get him to hit a dialogue trigger.
The more this goes on, the more, like, I could say, I just sorry, I keep yawning. I'm so tired today. I could have just said, I just used quick save, quick load to skip Liam Neeson's dialogue in combination with pushing him to hit a trigger. I don't know, but like...
And skip a little bit more of his dialogue without having to wait for him to walk over to the Revelations 2:16 passage.
Like, it was okay. It was okay, and then I cut out this part. It gets too wordy then. It gets too much focused on something that's already happened when I should be like, we now quick save, quick load. It should be like...
Trigger and skip a little bit more of his dialogue without having...
And now we quick save, quick load to skip out of our birthday party. That's what should have happened.
Out of the party sequence and skip all that dialogue.
But now, after I'm out, is when it's being talked about.
If we clip out of bounds immediately, we'll fall and more or less respawn. It's called COCing in the escape sequence of the vault. This means...
I had that note on screen. I apologize if you're prone to motion sickness. I'm guessing because I got comments about motion sickness on my Fallout 3 and New Vegas videos. I do read comments on all of my videos. I kind of come and go with like reading every comment. Usually I'll like start the day by checking what new comments I've gotten since yesterday and just catching up on them real quick, because I do look for actual feedback there. And I take a lot of feedback from videos, and I'm sure I got a comment someone saying, or I take a lot of feedback from comments, and I'm sure I got a comment people complaining about motion sickness. So I was just like, I'll just throw a note on screen.
Means that we're now able to exit the vault as a 10-year-old. For sex percent, we do this as a 10-year-old rather as a baby, because babies have incredibly low walk speeds, whereas 10-year-olds have full move speed. As soon as I spawned during the escape sequence, I ran and grabbed some stim packs, which will be used to sell for caps. You'll also see me doing this weird jumping camera flick thing. This is a glitch known as stop hopping, and it's used in both Fallout 3 and New Vegas.
See, totally okay with that being explained so late, because it keeps going.
Stop hopping is a glitch where if you hold W and jump, and then keep holding W in the air, but right before you land you let go of W, and flick your camera to the side and then back forward as you jump again, and begin holding W again after you jump again, you'll gain a lot of momentum and you'll cap out at around 1.6 times your normal move speed. You can chain these together in rapid succession to be able to move at a faster rate than you normally would be able to. If you're familiar with Speed Cripple, you may be wondering why I didn't go for it during this run. In my opinion, because of how short the sex percent run is for Fallout 3, it's not worth it to go for the Speed Cripple. And
Again, what I said in the Fallout 3 video about the name of that glitch all applies to here.
it's better to go with stop hopping throughout the run. Once we're out of the vault, we're just going to make a beeline towards Megaton because that's where we'll be having sex.
I believe Jabo's cameo is coming up soon. Yeah. The gaps in commentary, totally fine. Totally fine, especially with how straight this is being played right now.
Another newcomer.
In Megaton, we're going to head to the Crater Side Supply and we're going to talk to Moira Brown. We're going to be selling the stim packs that we picked up in the vault to Moira in order to be able to afford a bedroom with Nova. Once we sleep in the same bed as Nova, the Fallout 3 sex percent run is finished. The rest of this run is just me running to Nova and talking to her and then pushing her up to the bedroom, so I don't have too much to say, and there's also a relatively large gap between Fallout 3 and New Vegas in this video, so here's a video of another Fallout speedrunner named It's Jabo giving me motivation on his stream to go and work on this video. There's links in the description to his YouTube and his stream, please go drop him a follow.
Tomato wins. Is that you? Dude, I was hearing that you were struggling with motivation recently. Somehow, somewhere. Do you not understand what you have? Do you not understand the person you are? The community you've developed? Do not let them down, Tomato winners. You will commentate over that fucking video, and you will show them how good you are explaining the most interesting shit in the world. You don't know why? Because you, my friend, not only are you an extra chromosome above the rest, but you have a wheelchair. Because you are a part of the It's Jabo sub-gang, and you will prove them wrong. You hear me? Get out there. Shut the stream down right now. Right fucking now. Turn the stream off. Get on your fucking laptop, whatever the fuck you use to edit, and go do that commentary, right?
Sorry Jabo, New Vegas is starting. Right away in New Vegas, we
Classic. Great. Alright, New Vegas now.
dismiss the pop-up that we get for having the Caravan Pack DLC installed. We have the
I think using downtime to play other videos, totally fine. In my Mario Odyssey video, my favorite thing I've ever filmed is in my Mario Odyssey video. I'm sorry, I just have to pull this up real quick. This is my favorite thing I've ever filmed. What I would do if I met E.T. I've had a note in my phone to film this for years. And originally I wanted it, my original intention was for it to be like a plastic doll. So when whatever, I'll just play it. I'll talk about my original intentions in a second. This is so, oh, the frames dropped at the end. You don't get to see the impact. It's VLC is dropping some frames at the end there. But my original plan, yeah, the frames are there, I promise. My original plan was to have this be like a plastic doll and just, you know, explode on impact with the tree. But I couldn't find any plastic ETs that were big enough. I was like, oh, it should be like 1.5 feet big at the smallest, which is how big this is. I think this size and up would be perfect. But my original vision for this was like this size or bigger and just slamming it against the tree and like the head goes flying in one direction. But this is good enough. This is good enough. Anyways, this plays in downtime during the run. And I think including things like that is good.
Caravan Pack installed because it gives us a Caravan Shotgun, which is used to kill an NPC in the run. Other than that, the first thing you'll notice about New Vegas is that the dialogue is in Italian. This is because Doc Mitchell's dialogue is 4 seconds faster in Italian than it is in English. The intro to New Vegas more or less consists of me just mashing through every dialogue I can, as well as quick saving and quick loading to skip a couple lines, and also just assigning any special stats and perks that are the fastest to assign because they don't matter in this run. You also may have noticed that both New Vegas and Fallout 3 have a number 60 in the top right corner. This is our frame rate, and Fallout 4 is also limited to 60 frames. In Fallout 3 and New Vegas, if you have an uncapped frame rate, you have very inconsistent walking speeds, so in order to make sure that everyone is playing by the same rules and everything is fair, we limit our frame rate to 60 frames per second. Fallout 4 is the exact same way, with all physics being tied to frame rate. The higher your frame rate, the faster everything in the game moves. This means someone who is able to afford a computer that can run the game at about 200 frames per second will have a much quicker run than someone who runs it at 60 frames per second.
I had no complaints about what I just said, just complaining about the word choice. That is this, and like, it's very...
The higher your frame rate,
finger in the air,
the faster everything in the game moves. This means someone who is able to afford a computer that...
This means someone who is able to... Just someone who can... This means someone who can, you know... This means someone who is able to afford a computer that is faster
can run the game at about 200 frames per second will have a much quicker run than someone who runs it at 60 frames per second. To avoid this pay-to-win type competition, Fallout 4 also limits our frame rate to 60 frames per second.
Like, that's something I'm working on even still, is like, when I write, I will often write things like that, words without contractions, just naturally, based on instinct. I seem to avoid contractions when I write these scripts. So when I'm recording, I'm always having, it's a struggle that it's something I'm always doing, is like I'm shortening lines from who is going to, there he's going to meet this so and so who is going to do this, shortening that to be like, there they'll meet this, who's gonna this, instead of who is going to, who's gonna. It's just that's how I talk. That's how I should speak in the videos too.
Once we exit Doc Mitchell's house, we're going to drop all the weapons in our inventory other than the shotgun, which we equip right now. We then immediately fast travel to Goodsprings and hop over to the general store to talk to Chet. The item we're looking for Chet to have is the 357 Magnum revolver other than the shotgun, which we equip right now. We then immediately fast travel to Goodsprings and hop over to the general store to talk to Chet. The item we're looking for Chet to have is the
6 seconds after I say we equip right now. You can just equip when we step outside. That's all has to be said.
57 Magnum revolver. In addition to the revolver, we're going to sell a couple stim packs to get some extra caps, and also buy a special type of ammo that can fit into the 357. Unfortunately for Chet, he wasn't selling his 357 revolver, but lucky for us, he spawns with it in his inventory all the time. So
the timing on that was really good. I want to watch that with normal speed. The timing on the Chet kills.
And also buy a special type of ammo that can fit into the 357. Unfortunately for Chet, he wasn't selling his 357 revolver, but lucky for us, he spawns with it in his inventory all the time. So we're going to have to take a little bit of time loss just to kill Chet and take the revolver from his corpse. As soon as we leave the general...
Really good. Just drop... cut this second half of this sentence.
So we're going to have to take a little bit of time loss just to kill Chet and take the revolver from his... He spawns with it in his inventory all the time.
Lucky for us, he spawns with it in his inventory all the time.
So
end sentence. End right there. End right there.
We're gonna have to take a little bit of time loss just to kill Chet.
It's like the joke is lessened due to this insistence on having to explain everything.
And take the revolver from his corpse. As soon as we leave the general store, we're going to equip the revolver and bind it to a hotkey and start doing a glitch called reload dashing. Reload dashing is a glitch that involves having both a gun that has a one-at-a-time bullet reload animation and also has multiple types of ammo that you can switch between. By holding W and then switch...
And for right here, I think that, like, just even throwing in like a right now, we're going to begin reload dashing right now. That helps a ton because...
As soon as we leave the general store, we're going to equip the revolver and bind it to a hotkey and start doing a glitch called reload dashing.
Like, the wording on that's a bit weird because we're already outside. It's a bit weird saying, hey, when we leave the store, wait, we've already done that, we're going to do this. I should feel like, we now equip and hotkey the revolver. You know, it should be a bit more, again, synced up, which I didn't do at this time, but throwing in we're going to start doing this glitch right now so that people know, oh, okay, what he's talking about right now is what I'm looking at and not something else I'm waiting for it to happen. Like, I think that helping the viewer be sure you should make sure that your viewer knows what you are talking about, not knows what you are talking about in a sense of, yeah, they should understand what you are saying. No, they should literally know what you are talking about, what you are referring to. You should, and with speedruns and how crazy things are with it, that's not exactly clear all the time. The viewer should know exactly what you are referring to when things are being explained.
Reload dashing is a glitch that involves having both a gun that has a one-at-a-time bullet reload animation and also has multiple types of ammo that you can switch between. By holding W and then switching ammo and canceling the reload animation and then pulling up the Pip-Boy and unequipping the gun all while still holding W, you'll get slingshotted forward a bit of distance. This can be repeated over and over and over to traverse the Mojave Wasteland pretty quickly. Right now our destination is west side. Because you're getting launched forward with such velocity by reload dashing, sometimes you'll hit a rock or a crack that shoots you up into the air. You can't reload dash unless you're in the middle of a walking animation, so that typically means you have to be on the ground. Unfortunately, getting to the ground from such great heights typically is catastrophic for your character, giving you massive damage that will either cripple your legs, which makes reload dashing impossible, or it'll kill you. Fortunately, quick saving and quick loading breaks all momentum that you have, so we can use it just before hitting the ground to survive great falls. As you can see, I just crippled my leg, which makes reload dashing not possible to do. Luckily, we just arrived to west side and it's close enough that I can just run the rest of the distance and not lose a ton of time. Our end goal right now is to head to the Casa Madrid apartments and talk with Maud.
That was pretty good. The stakes, like it seemed pretty unintentional, but stakes were laid out and then they were delivered upon where something bad happened. And I think that that's something that doesn't happen too often in my videos. You know, runners and myself, we want to demonstrate things when they go right. You know, that we want to demonstrate what the best something can be is. But I do think this, gosh, I can't stop yawning. This is something that I do actually struggle with actively. Where, and again, if you guys have thoughts, let me know. I think that something that helps a video be more engaging is stakes, you know, especially in speedruns. Will they nail the trick? Won't they nail the trick? And I've had people comment that in the past as well, like, hey, it would be kind of cool or maybe beneficial when you're explaining a trick to not show whether or not they nail it in the run. And I'm like, okay. I get, like, I understand. That's something that I 100% understand, but I struggle with finding a way to actually do. 'Cause it's like, yeah, okay. First off, are there really stakes if the speedrunner is always going to hit it because they're typically segmented runs? You know, that's my first question. Like, probably not, you know? There aren't stakes. And maybe that's something that these videos need to have, is more an illusion of stakes, where it's just like things can be explained like maybe they'll hit it, maybe they won't. They always hit it. Maybe here's what it's that, like, right here there were stakes that were delivered upon, which I think is great. It was laid out, hey, if I break my legs, if something goes wrong, I can't reload dash. 30 seconds later that happens. Of course unintentional, but like in my current videos, for example, say like there's a glitch where they have to clip through a wall, and if they do it successfully, they skip a cutscene. If not, oh, actually, great example from Mario Odyssey. He skips a boss fight by doing a big old platform and going around the boss arena in an unintended way and skipping the trigger. And in that pause, I say if he's too far left, he will hit the trigger and the cutscene will start and he loses time. And I show that. I show that as an option of happening. Again, to try and establish stakes, since that's something I'm actively working on and struggling with at this very moment. But you know he's going to hit it. And at the same time, it's hard to explain something like that. I just laid out the first issue I have with it. And the second thing that people say, like establishing the stakes, are there even stakes? The second thing is people have commented like, hey, explain what happens if it succeeds or fails, and maybe not show footage of it succeeding, because then it's kind of spoiling, hey, here's footage from later in the run of them succeeding. And it's just like, okay, well, that could be remedied, I guess, by having them record different footage of it succeeding, but like it's only going to be marginally different than the actual footage of them succeeding in the run. And how I can explain things with props, sure. I can explain. I'm kind of thinking right now and kind of not having an epiphany, but kind of turning gears right now. Maybe I could do that. Maybe I could do that. The sticking point that I'm on right now is like, okay, if I'm not to show any footage of them succeeding or possibly even failing, maybe show footage of failing and describe succeeding. Maybe I'm just thinking in terms of this Mario Odyssey. Let's talk in terms of this Mario Odyssey one, because I think this will help me think through. Ding ding ding, new. He then Spiritless doesn't list has implicated. Then roll into this door and skip vector in the air extends a Spirit sexy. Wait, Spirit's supposed to be a kid? Maybe I shouldn't make that joke. Okay, so I know this is a bit off the rails, and I'm supposed to be doing a retrospective on a video from 4 years ago, and we're now reviewing a video that is releasing in 5 days. But this kind of goes back to my point, and kind of workshopping this in the moment, right? Instead of fighting him, Tyrant is going to perform Spiritless to skip him again and save 11 seconds. The Spirit boss arena is here, and it has a trigger zone that extends a decent distance out from it. Tyrant will spin pound, roll cancel, and triple jump off this corner, then vector in the air and stay as far right as he can. He'll then cap bounce and vector a little more and land on this green slope as far to the right as he can. So this is the footage from the run. I just explained what he's going to do in the run to do this skip. Because if he lands too far to the left, then he'll hit the trigger and the fight will end. And there is the establishment of stakes. So what if this were instead, and I'm trying to, again, my goal is to establish stakes in a way, like of course they're going to hit the trick. That's the point of these videos. But establish stakes in a way that still explains what they're going to do without spoiling, hey, here's them frickin' doing it, you know? So what if instead of it being, hey, he's going to do Spiritless where he goes around this boss arena. If he fails, here's the consequences. Maybe it's more, hey, he wants to skip this boss fight, so he's going to try and do this. Here's him attempting to do it and failing. What he's aiming for is to actually land. Like, what if instead I said, oh, we'll skip that bit.
The Spewart Boss Arena is here, and it has a trigger zone that extends a decent distance.
So what if I say this
out from it? Tyron will spin pound, roll cancel, and triple jump off this corner, then vector in the air and stay as far right as he can.
Okay, again, maybe I this is where it starts deviating. Maybe I explain a little differently there, but I'm explaining the trick.
He'll then cap bounce and vector a little more and land on this.
And maybe I pause right here and I say, like, and he's going to try and land as far to the right on here as he can. Because if he lands he's going to try and land as far to the right as he can. Because if he lands too far left, he triggers the boss arena. And then I show that failure. I don't show the success. I just show the failure.
To the right as he can.
But I still explain clearly, here's the fail point. Here is what I'm going to describe what he wants, but I'm going to show the stakes.
Because if he lands too far to the left, then he'll hit the trigger and the fight will initiate. He can then roll into this door.
As for the afterwards part, maybe I would start I have the hiccups now. Oh my gosh. Maybe I would start the clip right here. But yeah, this was a tangent with Tomato Anus. We will close that now. I think I got my point across. I don't know. I did a lot of thinking out loud there. A lot of workshopping just right there. That was active thinking on how to fix future videos.
Ciao.
This is a lot of silence. A lot of silence going on right now. A lot of this could be edited out, fast forwarded.
Before we get into the Fallout 4 run, I'd like to apologize in advance for any choppiness in the video. I was trying out a new setup for recording both my stream video and just the game audio so I could go back and do commentary over it, and unfortunately it doesn't really work well with Fallout 4. The upside is that I think I found a new method that allows for me to record what I need to, and it won't affect the choppiness of the video or anything. The first thing you're going to notice...
That's interesting. I didn't remember that. I'm trying to think about what I was doing, the other way of recording just game audio for the game. Did I have 2 instances of OBS running? So I remember trying that in the past. Did I... Because nowadays what I do is I use Voicemeeter, the software Voicemeeter, to route my audio and have different audio lines. That's actually what I'm doing right now. Actually, not really. I was going to say that's what I'm doing right now. Right now, I have my mic muted in OBS and recording in Audacity, and I sync them up. I did a clap earlier for syncing it up. So... I think at this, I must have been trying to do 2 OBS things, which I'm surprised I tried because I remember trying before that. I don't know. We'll see how choppy this gets.
For Fallout 4 is that it's played in German. Typically, Fallout 4 is speedrun in French because the full game in French is faster than any other language.
Did that skip?
Typically, of the video or anything. That is that I think I found comment full game in French is faster than any other language. However, Sex% only really does the intro segment with being in the house and then being in Vault 111, and German is the fastest language for that section. Also, right now you'll see me cycling through a bunch of character presets. There's 2 reasons for this. One is that I prefer to have preset 3 for both just because they're my preferred characters to play as, and second is I'm trying to manipulate the location of Codsworth in the house because he wanders around the house, and if you talk to him at a certain point in the house, then you save about half a second to a second. Unfortunately, I failed to set up because I was paying too much attention to chat, and I didn't really pay attention to what I was doing with the presets to time out Codsworth. The beginning section of Fallout 4 is more or less just waiting around for certain triggers to set up, and also just talking to people and mashing through the dialogue as fast as possible.
Oh, I was drinking water. I didn't have a where was my water bottle? Oh my god. You guys see that? Watch the top right. Where is my water bottle? What the heck? I just have an open fucking glass of water
mashing through the dialogue as fast as possible.
On the corner of my desk. That is so unhinged. God, that water must have been so warm. Ew.
Hey, Kotzbach. Hey, Schatz.
Nervös? Musst du nicht sein. Deine Rede wird ihm gefallen.
Lots
In a
of
moment, I'll be
downtime.
filling out my registration form with the Vault Tech rep to assign all of my special points. In Fallout 4, your special stats actually do make a huge difference in the 6% speedrun, so we have to distribute
Gotta love auto-generated captions.
them in a certain way. Quick spoiler alert, we end up having sex in the speedrun by passing a hard speech check, so we're going to need to max out charisma. Other than that, we want to get to our destination as quickly as possible, so what we're going to want to do is be able to maximize the amount of time that we can spend sprinting. With 12 points available for distribution, the most efficient way to do this is to put 4 points into endurance and 10 into agility. This is because agility increases the total amount of action points that you have, so the more action points you have, the more you can sprint. Endurance decreases the drain rate of your sprint bar whenever you're sprinting, so the more endurance you have, the longer you can sprint for. As I just mentioned, with the amount of special points we have right now for distribution, the most efficient way to balance between endurance and agility to maximize the amount of time we can sprint for is to put 4 points total into endurance and 10 points total into agility.
Dreh das Mobile ein bisschen. Hey, wie geht's meinem Kleinen? Besser, oder? Nach dem Frühstück könnten wir ein bisschen in den...
Ja, gute Idee.
I totally, I don't know what the, I don't want to say cookie cutter, but totally fine intro for Fallout 4. There's not a whole lot to explain here. I'm gonna bump up the playback speed to 2.
Upon being able to leave the house, I'm going to give you the hilarious mental image of a man, his wife, and his child just jumping over fences and backyards to get to the vault as quickly as possible.
Zum Vault, sofort.
Hilarious mental image of a man, his wife, and his child just jumping over fences and backyards to get to the vault as quickly as possible.
Zum Vault,
Yeah.
sofort.
Once we get to the gate and talk to the military officer, we're going to mash E when we finish our line saying that we're on the list. If we mash fast enough and hit the timing perfectly, it'll skip the military officer's line and we'll be able to be let past them immediately.
Nein, wir stehen auf der Liste.
That was fine. Again, I don't do much to establish stakes, which I think stakes, the more moving forward, the more I think focusing on stakes is good. And I would like to focus on stakes more in runs, not just time save, but time loss. I could have totally started that line 10 seconds earlier. And then also talk about, like, if I happen to fail it, then it could be a couple fractions of a second time loss, or even up to like 5 seconds time loss, depending on if I get stuck in a dialogue loop with them. You know?
Treten Sie bitte auf die Plattform. In die Mitte. Der Vault auf
In die Mitte.
Beeilung. Fast geschafft. Es wird alles gut. Ich liebe euch.
Both of you. Boom.
Wir lieben
Oh
dich
my
auch.
god. Gasp.
Festhalten. Geht das nicht schneller?
I forgot that I used to have that all memorized.
Geschafft. Wir haben's geschafft. Alles wird gut.
Now that we're in the vault, we have a lot of time to kill. There's really not much that goes on until we are let out of the cryopod after 200 years, so I had to find a way to kill time. First, let me explain that all we're really going to be doing in the vault up until entering the cryopod is just jumping over a railing and grabbing the vault suit and then talking to a doctor. There's really not much going on here. Also, I just like to say, if you're going to leave a comment saying, but you have a baby in Fallout 4, that means you already finished sex percent. No, it's sex percent is from the start of the game having sex. It's not lose virginity percent, okay? So don't even think about leaving a comment like that. Once I enter the cryopod, I'm going to be playing on my Nintendo 64 to kill the time. I apologize in advance for any horrendous Mario 64 gameplay. It's not my forte. It's not my strong suit. If you're curious, I am playing on an original Nintendo 64 with a default Nintendo 64 controller. I use an IO Data GV USB 2 to capture my Nintendo 64 gameplay. I'm also going to begin explaining a couple tricks that we use throughout the rest of the run. In order to escape the vault,
I think all of that was good. There wasn't much that was said there. It was a lot of just kind of messing around, talking about things tangential to the run. Oh, don't come at me with the it's actually stuff that was being said in the chat. Looks like we were having a conversation about how dumb anti-vaxxers are. But we were talking about something with It's not lose it's not lose virginity percent. I think that the delivery of this was pretty casual too. Like, this sounds like me just
horrendous Mario 64 gameplay. It's not my forte. It's not my strong suit. If you're curious, I am playing on an original
Like
Nintendo
that,
64
it's
with
not
a
my-
default
it's not my
Nintendo 64
forte, it's
controller.
not my
I
strong
use an
suit.
IO
That seems pretty normal.
data GV USB 2 to capture my Nintendo 64 gameplay. I'm also going to begin explaining a couple tricks that we use throughout the rest of the run. In order to escape the vault, you're going to be seeing me pick up some traffic cones.
It was pretty casual delivery. I like that.
Use them to clip through and over walls. This is a form of clipping that we typically will refer to as either cone clips or my favorite, VLC clips. VLC clips are performed by simply picking up a traffic cone and having it be a certain distance away from you, then looking down and walking backwards into a wall. As you walk backwards into the wall, the cone will go under you and then will slowly rise and push you up and over. You're also going to see me pick up a security baton right away. This is because we're going to be doing a glitch called punch warping. Once I explain what punch warping is, you may ask, why don't you just use your fists, and why do you have to go out of your way to pick up the baton? The reason for this is that we need to use VATS in order to punch warp, and VATS is not activated for us until we either get to a certain point in the vault, or we actually pick up a weapon, so by picking up the security baton we gain the ability to use VATS. Now, let's talk about punch warping a bit. In video games, the current position of your character and like any item is tracked by coordinates. Fallout 4 is no exception to this. Wherever you're standing, you always have an X, Y, and Z coordinate that the game uses to keep track of your position. If you're playing Fallout 4 on PC, you can actually find out what your exact coordinates are at any time by pulling up the command console and type.
I'm listening to myself right now, but I'm watching the gameplay right now at the same time of Mario. I ended up finishing Mario 64 at some point in the future after this. I think when doing Sex percent runs like 6 months later after this. I'm so bad at Mario 64. Like, I'm pretty good at games. I honestly think I'm pretty good at games. I like to think I am. BattleBit Remastered, that just came out. I'm nasty at that game. Mario 64, Lord help me. Watch me long.
If you're playing Fallout 4 on PC, you can actually find out
that star. I think for whatever reason I had forgotten or that those clock hands move
what your exact coordinates
based on when you jump into the clock, and no one had bothered to tell me forever because I remember trying to do this long jump for like streams.
are at any time by pulling up the command console and typing in the git pose command. The short of punch warping is that it's a way to store your coordinates and teleport to them at a later time. This is done by having a melee weapon equipped and attempting to melee attack something in VATS. Normally when you attempt to melee attack something in VATS, the game will pathfind for your character from where you're standing to a position next to the enemy so that you can actually connect your attack. Instead of showing your character walking to that position, you kind of just teleport there, but it's only ever small distance.
I think this explanation is okay. Probably should do some sort of preview footage just so people, like, it doesn't even have to be the footage of it being done in the run, just preview footage of punch warps being done. I think that would be good. Preview footage is good if you can use it. And instead of using footage from the run, using just random stuff. Establish punch warping as a concept. Don't establish punch warping as it is in the run. Establish punch warping into the viewer's vocabulary, and then let them just see another use for it,
After all, it wouldn't make much sense for you to be able to target an enemy a mile away in VATS and then just teleport to them. Now, if you position your character so that when you attempt to melee attack something in VATS, the pathfinding would either clip you through an object or put you out of bounds, the game doesn't want to do that because it kind of breaks the rules of the game. You're not supposed to be able to clip through solid objects or go out of bounds. Instead, the game kind of has to think for a moment or two to try and figure out how it'll get you to the enemy. If you cancel your VATS attack by exiting VATS while the game is still thinking, then what will happen is that the coordinates of where you were standing when you attempt to melee attack in VATS are stored. And the next time you attempt to melee attack with VATS, you get teleported to the coordinates that you just stored. By setting up a punch warp in Vault 111 on a couple rad roaches that you'll see me do in a second, I'm able to teleport to the center of the map once I leave the vault because the center of the map coordinates more or less align with the Vault 111 interior coordinates.
God, this is such a sloppy run. This would be an incredibly easy speedrun to beat. Oh yeah, this would be such an easy speedrun.
You may have noticed that I completely bypassed picking up the Pip-Boy. This doesn't really come into play at all during the Sex percent run because we don't use our Pip-Boy during it, but it's still something interesting to talk about. If you leave the vault without picking up the Pip-Boy, when you leave the vault, you'll be given the Pip-Boy. The only caveat to this, though, is that it's invisible. In order to make your Pip-Boy visible, you either have to make a save and quit to the main menu and then reload your save, or you just have to enter Power Armor. The only catch to this is because we didn't actually complete the Pip-Boy equipping animation inside of Vault 111, the Pip-Boy screen will still be a bit cloudy because we never wiped the dust off of it. You can see this effect in play in my Fallout 4 Any% PV. Now that I'm out of the vault, I need to trigger my Punch Warp. The closest enemy I can use to trigger my Punch Warp is a Rad Roach down in Sanctuary. When I trigger my Punch Warp on this Rad Roach, I'll get teleported to the coordinates from inside of Vault 111, which more or less correspond to underneath the map in the center of the map near Green Tech Genetics. Once I spawn in that location, because I'm under the map, I'll keep falling and falling until I fall low enough to get teleported back up onto the map near Green Tech Genetics.
Like, all of these explanations are totally fine. I think we've kind of hit the autopilot part of the run since it's Fallout 4. Just has me thinking, this is totally unrelated right now, but man, makes watching these videos back makes me want to do speedruns again. Not that I haven't wanted to do speedruns, but really makes me want to. It's just a matter of balancing time, so. And I would need to build a new PC because this current PC is coughing up dust, to put it lightly. So, I don't know, maybe sometime in the future. Maybe sometime in the future. Near future. We'll see.
Now that I'm in the center of the map, all I have to do is make a beeline towards Good Neighbor so I can talk to Magnolia.
Yeah, this totally... At this point, I feel like most has been said about this run. A good video, though. I like... It's...
Instead of entering Good Neighbor through the front door, there's actually a second way you can get inside of there. Just north of the Good Neighbor entrance, there's an alleyway you can jump into by running along the top of a semi-truck, and by jumping into the alleyway, you'll load inside of Good Neighbor. Now that I'm inside of Good Neighbor, I'm just going to run immediately to the third rail because that's where Magnolia is. Unfortunately, when we enter the third rail, Magnolia is going to be in the middle of one of her singing performances, and we won't be able to talk to her. All we have to do, though, is attack one of the patrons inside of the third rail, which will aggro everyone inside. If we then holster our baton, they'll all forgive us and Magnolia will have stopped singing and we can talk to her and convince her to have sex with us.
Entschuldigung, Miss.
Was ist los, du Hübscher?
Das Lied war wunderbar. Ich bin begeistert. Ich bin wegen der Musik hier.
Oh God, I hope I don't do what I used to do.
Ich. Ein Spazier.
Und was dann?
Musik.
Ich...
Aha. Verschwinden wir von hier.
ich
As is customary at the end of Sex% World Record runs, we then beat Magnolia unconscious with our security baton and then kill the Vault Tech rep who's staying in the room next door and attempt to equip his clothes with our invisible Pip-Boy. My name's Tomato Anus. I hope you've enjoyed the run, and I hope you have an above average day.
weg. Kann ich dann... Lass sein.
I thought that was going to be worse. I thought I was going to just fly around and fly into people or whatever. Not bad. That really wasn't bad. I'm not going to say, oh, I see why it got so many views, because that would be... I can't be objective like that. I can't be... There's no way someone could know that. That's too self-flat. Like, a good video. Does it deserve that many views? Who the frick knows? But I can see why people find it entertaining. Certainly entertaining. I did find it entertaining. It wasn't. I don't know. Some of these, watching them back, have been a bit hard to watch, but that one wasn't too hard to watch. That one was a fun one to watch. I'm not looking forward to doing this one, which will be in a couple months, maybe September. Let me see. Let's look at what videos are coming up. So August will likely be either some combination of these three. Maybe September will be whichever ones I don't cover. Who knows? And then September will either be these again, like the rest of these, or this. Then like October would be one of these two. November would be one of these two. December. So either December or January we'll be covering the actual Fallout Anthology run, and that's gonna be long. I'm actually not looking forward to how long that one's gonna be, but I hope it's a good video. That's gonna be a long retrospective, probably hands down the longest one, I'm sure. Yeah, I think that's all for this one. I'm gonna get to editing this like pretty much right away, and yeah, I think that's about all. I hope you guys enjoyed this next retrospective covering the Fallout Anthology Sex run. I do think actually some really good takeaways from this one. I really think that kind of figuring things out with how to portray stakes. So we'll see how that's implemented. It's a bit too late to implement that into this Mario Odyssey video that's releasing in a couple days. But I think the Alien Isolation video, I think there's a good chance to do something with that. We'll see though. We'll see. Maybe that might be a harder video to do that for, but yeah. Maybe I'll take a nap today because I keep yawning. But anyways, thank you for watching. Again, as always, leave comments, your thoughts on things, how you, if there was anything I talked about, if you would like to provide a viewer's insight or your personal insight or just anything, fire away. Let me know. Seriously, feedback is so appreciated. So yeah, I guess till then, this was what a average above average day. There's an outro.